Welcome to the Strategic Project Leader, where we help you leverage strategic project management so you can achieve your goals. Now, here's your host, Fola Alabi.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting episode on the Strategic Project Leader. How are you all doing today? I am super excited because it's also Canada Day. So happy Canada Day to all my Canadians out there. As you know, projects are the engines of progress that paints a picture of what's actually possible and creates something really extraordinary for organizations. And today we're going to be talking about the future of project management. I am your host, Fola Alabi. I'm fondly called strategic project leader, but I am a leadership and project management authority and your business life strata catalyst. As a keynote speaker, consultant, and educator, I help forward-thinking organizations, professionals, and entrepreneurs leverage the strategic focus of project management to drive return on investments and outcome in business and beyond without the overwhelm. Today is really exciting because I have a great leader with me in the studio who is going to be talking about the future of project management. He is, oh goodness, I don't even know where to start. He's a health informatics futurist, a quantum physicist. He's a startup mentor and a coach, and he's an inspiring keynote speaker as well. And his focus is all about value-based transformation. Is anyone excited about that? Are you one who's thinking about how can I transform my organization? Is it digital transformation? Even as well in your personal life, how can you create something even better? And we're going to be diving into that. He brings over 3 decades of experience when it comes to project healthcare information. And he's got, I call him a double doc, like double PhD. So you're going to be getting a little, much more than you can actually ever imagine. Can you please give me a round of applause? And as I welcome Dr. Mazin Gadir. Good doctor, how are you doing this morning?
I'm very good. I hope you can hear me. And am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you bright and clear. How is it? What's the weather today in the UAE in Dubai?
Oh, it's around 35 plus degrees Celsius. I mean, people are still enjoying the Eid holiday. So happy Eid to all those people celebrating Eid, and happy Canada Day, by the way, to you and your
Fantastic.
fellow Canadians.
I appreciate that. So is actually Eid as well for those of our Muslim audience as well. So happy Eid as well and happy Canada Day. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to just know as well where you're joining us from. Thank you so much, Zakir, for joining us. Thank you, Umar. Thank you, Jeremiah. Great to see you all. And remember, there's going to be a section where you can ask questions as well. So start thinking about your questions. But let's get right into it. Dr. Mazin, what is the future of work?
Wow, that's a very good question and a heavy question because it loads up all the important aspects. I believe the future of work is in line with the rise of gig economy. Obviously, the concepts are as we are coming out of the Great Resignation. There's a lot of learnings that are actually coming to surface about the future of work. We are looking at higher or hyper skills or hyper skilled workforce that is able to gain pace, able to actually move quickly, pick up skills and drop skills as they need. They work in shorter, perhaps job contracts. You're not gonna see long-serving employees under a long contracts with employers. Perhaps you're gonna get smaller contracts, smaller lifespan of employment spells. You're getting a lot of AI based relevant skills and work products. You're gonna see a lot of incorporation of AI based tools and applications in speeding up deliverables, shorter. You're seeing the new features of work will be shorter initiation and planning, perhaps longer testing and quicker executions.
That's right. You've actually just opened up something really interesting. The future is work is one that we're gonna see a lot of movement. There's gonna be speed to market. We're looking at creating employees that are really able to adapt pretty quickly in response to change. So how exactly do you think as project management or project management professionals, how can PMs be ready to adapt to this new way of working?
I believe the most one of the most important features of our workforce of the future is quick agility. So flexibility in maneuvering skills as they pick them up, and the ability to try and fit those skills as the purpose requires or as the objective of the work deliverable. So I think the dynamic nature of the economies that we are living in and the fast moving objectives and strategic initiatives according to different national strategies and priorities would dictate that our workforce will actually move in an agile fashion, allow them to actually pick up skills and work in autonomous and independent, self-regulating and self-governing teams that allows to deliver quicker and on faster pace. Again, this also opens up the market and the framework to actually the concepts, the new concepts, design thinking concepts, where you think about fail and fail fast. How do you actually get the learnings and convert that into success? Pick up the pieces and try to rejig your strategy and build a quick plan that allows you to deliver quick wins and value based outcomes. So again, it all goes back to the point that our workforce will have to be much faster in picking up skills, able to dictate and analyze which skills would be fit for this journey, for this purpose. Gone the days where you look for long-winded journeys. Now the rise of even concepts like giga projects and mega projects, where you are looking at smaller deliverables in smaller intervals of times to try and build a bigger picture that allows the delivery of giga projects where or giga programs.
I really love that. So we know that it's a change. And for us, we've got an audience that comes from all over the world. We want to understand there's a lot of hype and how the Middle East is definitely leading the fourth when it comes to embracing agility. But when we think about disruption and we say, how can we define disruption in the context of project management? And why is it important for project managers to embrace it?
The disruption is becoming a nature or an ongoing part of our work day-to-day life. That means that you're expected to be disrupted on daily basis. In other words, disruption can come from the tools that you are perhaps picking up to deliver some of your products and your services. Disruption could be from the voice of your customers, and these customers are now becoming more and more mature in the sense that they dictate according to their convenience. They dictate what they want out of their services and products in order to reach that level of satisfaction. So that's another source of disruption that continuously needs to be listened to and adhered to. The number three types of disruptors, the regulations that we are seeing. There is a huge amount of disruption that happens from a regulator point of view, where there is hyper regulation mode, where there's a lot of disruption to the way policies and legislation is coming out, especially when it comes to very disruptive trends, AI, data analytics, or even concepts like cryptocurrency or blockchain, where we are seeing a lot of disruption, either hyper regulation or deregulation. And that is also another huge disruptor that we, as the workforce of the future, are able to listen in and make sure we maneuver through that. So the vast majority of our work and I would say our working culture has been disrupted with these three major aspects.
So we can see regulation, we can see change from customer needs, and pretty much what the world where we actually moving on a day-to-day basis. We cannot no longer just sit back and say, yes, I want this in the next 1 year. The customers want it like microwaved, right? We want it now. We want the change now. We want to see that now. So from that perspective, how can the project management workforce be positioned for success? I love the fact that I got a comment here. I think it just came in from Fahad. Oh, Fahad, how are you doing today? He's coming all the way from Naomi. The question now is more about those kind of supplier type contracts where it's more about I want this kind of work, I want it delivered now. And there's no longer employee employer relations anymore. But how does that now tie back into employee and like the PM morale? Because there's a lot of work that has to get done. Dr. Mazin, when you think about the fact there's so much work and now it's a case of just go, 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 there's all this disruption. How can we balance mental health? How can we balance productivity? And how can we balance, the overall well-being to ensure that organizations are successful while we also have project professionals who can still be sane to go back to their families?
That's a very good point, and I believe. Look, I want to point out to the audience two major publications that I would love you to reference when we talk about these specific points. The first one is a publication by PwC called "The Workforce of the Future: The Competing Forces Shaping 2030," and then the other publication is by the World Economic Forum, and this publication is absolutely disruptive to the way our thinking is going, because they highlight the biggest and the 10 most influential skill set that you need to cater for and focus on 2020 in 2023. And this is called the Future of Jobs 2023 by the World Economic Forum. So what I'm trying to say is that in this day and age, the world, according to one of those publications, is divided into four quadrants based on fragmentation versus integration, and individualism versus collectivism, where you look at the companies that are coming, the organizations that are coming with focus on innovation, right? These are huge innovative driven companies, and they are actually leading the way for talent acquisition and talent retention. The other quadrant that you need to think about is the human come first type of organization, and these are called the yellow world, as opposed to the innovation rules, the red world. And then in another, if you look at the integration, where you have the big giant corporations, you have the blue world, the corporate world, where it's the kind of the capitalism rules, as organizations continue to grow bigger, and individual preferences. Trump believes about social responsibility, but then you have the other side where you have the green world, companies care, the green initiatives. So you have the world now being distributed into four different quadrants, where you see some companies come in from the individualism side. They are much more focused on innovation. They are
Yep.
focused on shareholders and shareholders and share prices. You have also the social responsibility driven organization, where they look at human first or green first, right? Based on that, our workforce is already going and exposed to a lot of disruption in the way we think about our career growth.
That's
Project
right.
managers need to think about, for example, how to bring their game now up to speed with the sustainability mandate,
That's right.
diversity and inclusion mandate, the wellness and the focus on wellness, and how do you see that disrupting the corporate world or the organizations, in the sense that now project managers need to think about how do you preserve wellness through the lifetime of your projects? How do you become an ambassador for wellness? And you'll see a lot of organizations already building that into their governance by having the chief wellness officer or a wellness administrator who helps incorporate that into the organization. How us as project managers going to bring that into our field of play? How do we actually become more incorporated in the sense that we look at wellness, diversity, inclusion, sustainability when we think about our projects?
I think I love that. But, we in a world where we have the employees who haven't given a mandate, like project managers, they have a charter they have to execute on. And then we have the organizations and the C-level executives who kind of have the dollars in your pocket. When we have a PM who's got great ideas, they want to drive sustainability, inclusion, and wellness. But there's a struggle and a divide if the organization is actually not at that stage yet. So, what kind of skills do you think a PM needs to have today to help influence the organization to create that change? Because it's great to see what, PwC is actually saying, or what the World Organization is actually saying. But when in reality, you show up at work every day, and it's a totally different ballgame where you just feel like the PMs are being pushed, in different ways. How can they help change that within the organization?
That's a very good question. And that brings me to the third publication, The Pulse of the Profession 2023 by PMI, where they highlight the four most important skill set that you need to incorporate any sort of change or disruption into your project, your program, your portfolio, or even into your organization by driving skill set maturity in the area of communication. That's number one skill set that would require every project management professional to actually ace and to always skill up in that specific power skill called communication, and continue to improve and enhance their capabilities in communication using tools like ChatGPT or Read.ai that helps in note taking during meetings, and to try and deploy these tools to help the area of communication, problem solving. And it's another big important skill set that keeps enhancing our capability as project management professionals to always deliver sustainable outcomes. And don't forget, this is very important to emphasize the benefit realization aspect when you deploy these skill sets to realize those deliverables and benefits. And then being a collaborative individual, a collaborative leader, that's a third important power skill that allows you to spread awareness. Because one of the biggest COVID-19 realization that the pandemic is not because of not only the virus, the pandemic is the infodemic that has happened, the amount of information and disinformation that has taken place and during the pandemic was the biggest one of the biggest challenges we faced during COVID-19. And that is an important mandate for project management professionals to drive sustainability through awareness, continuous education, spreading collaboration and education to the surrounding stakeholders. And then finally, strategic thinking. World Economic Forum emphasizes the two most important skill set in their ladder of skills, analytical thinking or critical thinking. And these are two important skill sets that allows you as a project management professional strategically become a leader, as a collaborative leader at every stage of your project, to drive that stakeholder buy-in and drive sustainability through the four power skills that I've mentioned.
I love it already, because when we think about that, because I know even when I go in and I teach, leaders and other project managers, I say it's all about becoming strategic project leaders beyond what you see in the normal textbook, where you say, can you focus on your communication, which is okay. You look at your plans and you look at, the quality, and you focus on that, delivering that. However, what we forget about is the business context. How can we critically analyze what the problem is? Because at the end of the day, organizations are out there to solve some form of problems. We are there to create a solution for our customers, to actually get financial gains from that. And how can you become a catalyst that drives that? It's the communication skills around how do you leverage the information that you have, and ensuring that everyone understands what the value is. Because we're going to get into value management and executing on value, because so many projects are out there. That may be delivering on time, on budget, and to schedule, but they're probably not delivering any value really because the customers at the end of it, their needs may have changed, regulation may have changed. And so, in this disruptive environment now, how do you see the shift? And this now is from the perspective of leadership, from the C level. At the C suite level, where we have executive leadership who have got so many mandates from strategy, but there's a disconnect because PM's not really in these conversations. How can we get them to see the strain the PMs are also going through? How can we get the senior leadership to understand the needs that the PMs have that we can start advocating so we can also, elevate the pains a little bit for our project managers? So what do we need? What do you want to tell the C-suite executives so they need to be aware of from in today's market?
Absolutely. And I think my message to the C suite executives is number one, continuous learning and education. They need to continually be connected and educated about the importance of project management and the connection with project management professionals. As you've mentioned, the concepts of analytical thinking, creative thinking, or leadership needs to be connected all together under one umbrella, where the C-suite is in complete engagement with project management and portfolio management and program management offices or professionals at the same time. What that indicates that that also the project managers need to continuously, persistently deliver and communicate the importance of how they are helping organizations achieve those strategic initiatives. Normally, when you look at the C-suite, they are very focused on strategic design or strategy development, strategy refresh. But the divide or the actual gap appears in the divide between the strategy design and execution, which is, again, that's where the project managers could actually come in using all the knowledge they have from portfolio management, program management, risk management, to actually bridge the gap between the strategy design and vision realization, all the way to vision execution and the implementation of these strategies. And that's where my message to the C-suite is always reach out to your project management bodies and project management professionals, because they help you in the execution of your strategy. Always open the doors for allowing yourself as an executive to reach out and learn about some of the risks that they face when they execute those strategies on a corporate level or enterprise level or even on a governmental level. The number two message is actually to the project managers and the project management professionals, who actually need to consistently and persistently deliver the communication to the C-suite, and try to reach out to the leadership by leading by example as well, becoming a role models of how leaders could actually be born out of the project management vehicle within each and every organization, to drive communication, to drive education and awareness. And the only way to bridge the gap between strategy design and implementation as well as an execution would be by bringing the C-suite closer to the project management professional body.
I love it. I wanted to take it a little bit deeper now. We want to also learn from you. With over like decades of experience managing different complex projects in the health sector, a little bit of a microscope into your world. What have you found to be your top challenge navigating innovation and change in projects through your career? And how have you been able to overcome that? Because we have a lot of people who want to, drive innovations. They wonder what next in their career. How have you been able to navigate and experience great success? What has been the top challenge and how have you overcome it?
Sure. So some of the top challenges, and I'd love to share my thoughts with the audience throughout my 23 years of digital transformation in healthcare. Number one, or the biggest headache that we had, or challenges that we faced, is the leadership buy-in, and to make sure that leadership understands the importance of project management concepts, the output and the outcomes and the value delivered by managing initiatives and projects coming out of the strategy and how to deliver that. That's one of the biggest area, and it requires a lot of awareness and education, a lot of communication and collaborative workshops and sessions to understand, continuously deliver education and awareness to our leadership to show them the importance of having that project management or program management or portfolio management office or vision realization office, and how should it be engraved at the enterprise level where it reports to the highest leadership, to provide that awareness. So leadership buy-in was one of the biggest challenges we have, and the continuous and persistence education and delivering collaborative efforts to actually build benchmarks, show how other industries work with concepts from project management, how executive leadership should rely on it and embrace it to allow them to grow their strategy and deliver a successful strategy implementation. The other area that we saw also a big challenge in is the burnout. Normally, project management professionals do actually suffer from overload, a lot on their plate, a lot of risks to mitigate, a lot of projects to manage, and the wellness of the project managers should be the highest priority of every organization, in addition to the wellness of their employees. Because what we saw out of COVID-19, that the mental health and the wellness of the employee community, the workforce, the project management professionals would actually be the making, or the it will make or break an organization
That's right.
precisely,
Yes.
right? And this is another big area that we found out. And how do you build in more wellness concepts and bring in wellness to be part of your annual appraisal, where people are actually appraised based on their wellness score to be embedded into their annual appraisal and career growth. That's another area of challenges we saw. The third challenge that I could share with you also, how could you scale up innovation? How, when you come up with innovative ideas, you build an innovation framework within your organization, whether it's through the lessons learned that you keep, the log of lessons learned that you keep, or the risks log that you keep in your projects, and how you turn those risks into mitigation plans, into innovative ideas, and
To
hence start
opportunities.
building
Yes.
into
Hmm.
opportunities, and then scale them up. I think one of the biggest, or the one of the biggest challenges we found is, how do you take an idea through the ideation process to scale up that into an opportunity, and hence taking these great complaints from the customers, or to improve your processes, and hence create a whole new vehicle, or even a startup that then you can build into a unicorn. So this is another area that I wanted to also share with you, that I found also as a challenge, but once it's managed properly, it could turn into a huge opportunity.
I definitely love it. And I want us to dive into the two key pieces here. I know leadership buying is one that a lot of project managers or even employees actually face. You spoke about education, showing up and showing value. What else, are the tips and tricks that PMs or the professionals can actually also leverage to help get buy-in? Because it is a struggle where I see even PMOs or you see project managers who are kind of seen to be right at the very level of the totem pole. Is right. Would you just have the fun, do that, and then you're out of the door? How can they really get senior leadership buy-in to see the absolute value that they bring to the table and how it connects to strategy? So what other tips can you give us?
I think continuous celebration. You have to celebrate an every milestone and actually make a big bang PR about it, right? Create forums to actually allow those achievements to be seen by the leadership and their leadership. Because if you do not actually use social media or forums as well to actually celebrate these milestones and these achievements, people would actually be disheartened, would not know what you've been doing. One of the best advices that I got during my career is, how do you become visible, and how do you make achievements visible? For leadership to see what you've done, you need to make announcements, you need to make a big PR, big bang on your achievements, and you don't have to wait for a huge implementation to complete or to be completed before you do that PR. But you can do it into phases, where you actually close every phase, you celebrate that phase with a forum or with a one of my best mentors, my previous director of health informatics in Dubai Health Authority. I want to shout out to him, and he always tells me he taught me a statement: always rise above. And when you rise, you bring people along with you. And that's what he keeps telling us. Whenever we do a big project or a small project, we celebrate at every instance. And these celebrations will bring in leadership buy-in, and you actually ensure that leadership participate, and not just from just at the beginning of the kickoff, but also during the phase of the implementation, as well as during these celebrations, because it's very important that the leadership would actually get visibility and get to understand the magnitude of what you have achieved by celebrating and calling out the champions and the early adopters at every stage of your implementation. So this is maybe the quickest learning that I've had in my 23 years on how to bring in leadership to buy in and participate in your engagements.
I love that. In the next piece, I know we spoke about burnout. Without a doubt, we know that a lot of people are stressed. I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago, and I asked the question. We've been hearing about quiet quitting. And, and then I said, what about the quiet promoting, right? Where a lot of people are given even more work. Your responsibilities actually increase. However, no one even says anything about it, right? So they're being quietly promoted, right? There's no salary increase. They're not actually being celebrated. And, they probably have even more without anything associated with that. Burnout is real. How exactly have your team, I know there's so many initiatives we're going to be, working on together as well, is how have you been able to bring burnout to bring a lot more visibility to that? And how can we drive the C-level to start seeing what's really going on and how we can actually make things better? Because at the end of the day, work is work, right? But we cannot just isolate and leave work at work. We still bring work home. And for us to be able to create a better life for ourselves, because at the end of the day, what living in the first place if we just stress ourselves out, find you have all the money in the bank account, but you have nothing to even live for. So let's talk about burnout. How can we have you dealt with that, and what can we do going forward?
It's a very good question. I always remember when you mentioned burnout and how leaders should actually tackle this biggest challenge. I believe it starts with transparency, right? Leaders have to be the champions of transparency and lead by purpose, right? People leave companies not because of companies; they leave companies because of their line managers,
That's
right?
right.
People actually follow leaders wherever they go when they are transparent, when they are humble, and they are servant leaders. Let's call it out,
That's
and
right.
let's keep it
Let's be real. That's what we are on this
real.
actual cover. That's right. We're keeping it real. That's right. Keep going. I love it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if I'm to project myself as a leader, number one, my responsibility for my line employees is, number one, to be transparent, honest, and grow that credibility within continuously with my line employees. Number two, I have to be caring. I have to be understanding, because if you want somebody to give you 150% of their time and effort and productivity, you have to lead with purpose. You need to show them purpose. It's not about the money. And a lot of studies showed that people enjoy work not because of the money. It has a purpose in life. It shows them that there is value that they're delivering to themselves, to their customers, to their stakeholders. And this is what is meaningful. How do you tackle burnout? You tackle burnout when you always have to have these one-to-ones, transparent and credible and honest one-to-ones with your line employees. and your line managers. You have to care for them on weekly basis. You need to make sure that you first of all go beyond just the work that is between you guys. You need to make sure that you understand their social issues, the community pressure, the family pressure. And this is what I found. One of my mentors that I've been always wishing to work with. I met him in 2012, and he has been an amazing leader. And I had the chance to work with him 4 years before he retired. This guy was just an amazing leader who drove by example. And you can see whenever a leader leads as a role model, right? You clinch into that leader and you do your 100%, and you manage your burnout based on the leader that you work with. Because if anytime you want to take some time off, and they will understand the importance of work-life balance. They will understand that you worked a few weekends before, and hence you should take maybe
Some
work
time
from
off.
home a number of days more, where you can work from home or stay with your kids. So work-life balance is very important. The type of leaders that you work with is very important to tackle that burnout as well. From a self perspective, if you are a project management professional, you need to say no. Always, if you feel that burnout coming up and you are losing motivation, take some time off and do actually one of the biggest learnings that I've had in the last 23 years: when to say no. You have to say no. I cannot do more. I have to say this time is for my family, and it's your right. In this day and age, mental health and burnout is one of our biggest enemy across all industries, because that's how you lose talent. That's how you start losing good leaders, because they start burning out because of their superiors. And that's how you actually not become a productive organization. So again, number one, if you are a leader, transparency, credibility, honesty, and caring, right? Being a servant, a humble leader. If you are a project management professional, make sure that you say no and you put the barriers between your work and life, and hence establish that work-life balance. The wellness of our workforce is the biggest pandemic ever that we have ever seen.
I know, I love that. It's a big pandemic, the wellness of our employees. But in reality, because we keep it real here, it's easy to kind of say that, Mazin, a PM or even an accountant, whatever you are, you feel your workload is just too much. Saying no could actually mean costing them their job. How do they really find that balance? How do they really create that harmony where they can be in a space where they know that they actually have the back, the organization has their back? That's the point. Because people are scared of losing their job. It's about how can they fend for their families, right? How can they create financial support if everything is pulled off, from underneath their feet? And so when a leader is facing a situation where they cannot even say no, what exactly do
Yes,
they
yes.
do then?
So my advice, and I love your question. My advice is, number one, your sleep should not be compromised. Sleep is your number one energy hub. Please, I mean, I'm very focused and very intentionally starting with this point, because sleep is the number one body reliever for a lot of stress. If you sleep on time, you sleep early, you wake up early. That's number one lesson that I've learned since I was 5 year old. But coming back to your points as well, in addition to looking after yourself, whether it's sleep and eating properly and having enough time with your family, I think one of the biggest challenges is to try and manage your time. How do you actually manage time using tools like the calendars, right? Your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar. How do you actually try to shorten your research or your desktop search activities by using ChatGPT, for example? How do you actually work smart rather than work hard? How do you use the power of the collective, the power of the team that you have to delegate more, to empower others? And one of the statements that you've mentioned, everybody's scared of losing a job. But you know what? This is going to be the norm of the workforce of the future. It's not about losing a job anymore. It's about you mastering your career by growing your connections and growing your knowledge and skills, right? So content and connections will always make you go to the next level in your career. It's not about one job forever. Nothing lasts forever. But what lasts forever is, number one, if you invest in your health, this is number one investment in your lifetime. Health is not an expense, it's an investment. So invest in your health, invest in your knowledge and skills, invest in your connections and those who you can grow with you, your mentors, your coaches, whether they are 10 years younger than you or 10 years older than you. And these are three important advices that I've got since my days of school, when my dad kept telling me, it's always your health, look after your health. I never understood, but health comes first. And nobody is gonna work properly or tackle burnout if they don't look after their health, whether it's sleeping well, talking, having a family, and the social system around them, the family system, support system that actually make you stand on your both feet. Because at the end of your life, after 100 years, when you are in your departing bed, the only people who will be around you is those who actually you must have neglected them most of the time because you're working so hard. So remember
Making
that,
all the
by the way.
money though. They were making all the money.
There you go. Absolutely, absolutely. And money, look, I mean, people need, when you invest in your health, your knowledge and skills, and you invest in your connections, you will end up doing a lot of good to your own self. By, if you lose a job, you'll find another job or another opportunity to work. Your skill set is what people will fight for. Your connections is what people and organizations will look for, right? But if you're not healthy to deliver both connections and content, knowledge, and skills, there's no point.
I know, I know. This is the perfect segue. We go quick into product lifestyle. I've been enjoying so much of it. We're gonna get back into it. But as you know, that we talk about how can we leverage all of this to create something bigger and better. Dr. Mazin was been talking about communication, collaboration, so much in between that. But I think about how can we create harmony? Because true success is all about amplifying what we do at work and even replicating that and making it even better in our personal life. And today I want to just touch on some pieces around how can we leverage this disruption and create something even better in our lives. And I want to just touch on 5 key things as we live in a world that is ever changing, as we live in a world that things are never going to be the same, be it at work, be it at home, even with our kids. What can you do today to become a leader who will always be one that is valid and people always want to listen to? The first thing I want to talk about is staying informed. Stay informed on industry trends, emerging technologies, market dynamics. How can you better even manage your home? We talk about, for instance, interest rates are going up. How does that affect you, not just at work, even in your personal life? Have you petitioned your mortgages? What are you doing? How are you investing? Stay informed, because information is what, could either make you or break you. Number 2 is embrace lifelong learning. As you take the information that you've actually gotten, how are you leveraging that? I remember talking to someone just yesterday, and we're talking about change and what they're actually looking to do next. And the person told me, listen, I have been in the medical line for such a long time. They actually had a hygienist. And she's like, I haven't even read. I just think about my work and I can't even add something else to that. That has to change. You have to embrace lifelong learning to stay relevant, to stay connected. What about fostering agility and adaptability? We touched on that a little bit. How are you embracing change? How are you able to adapt and adapt quickly? Because change now is the only currency that you can actually leverage. Because whatever you saw yesterday, believe it or not, it's going to be totally different maybe tomorrow. How are you preparing your kids for the new world that we actually live in? Adaptability is a key pillar that I talk about, that I teach in my programs, I mentor and I coach leaders about, because it's a skill that once you foster that and you're actually adaptable, that could be the difference from you being a Nokia or becoming an Apple. What about your network? We spoke about that. Not just focusing on a particular type of people, but having a diverse network of people who you can tap into, be it for personal development, be it for mentorship, be it for change, whatever that is, having a diverse network. And not just because you want to get something from them, but because you are also a valuable asset where you feed into that stream. And so it's more or less a win-win for everyone. Nurture relationships as well. What about technology? Dr. Mazin said that when we think about time management, we think about our workload, we think about our kids, how are you leveraging tools that you have to help you create something even better for yourself? Because now the world is going to keep moving, but the tools you have are what will differentiate you from the people who become a greater success than those who remain exactly where they are. What about resilience? You need to create strength. And okay, I know you want to dive in, Dr. Mazin. We're going to get into that pretty quickly. Resilience is something I can just bring you in quickly to actually talk on that. Resilience is a skill that you need to actually, zone in and hone in if you want to be able to, keep your head above water in this disruptive world. Dr. Mazin, you want to step in? What do you have to say?
No, absolutely. Resilience is a huge word, and it you have lots of tools to actually help you in becoming a resilient professional in whichever industry you're working in. And one of the tools that a few tools that I'd like to use is number one, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a huge tool that you can use to build that connection and content for you to be more and more resilient despite whatever VOCA you get to meet, right? It's a VOCA world. We are living in the VOCA world. It's a continuous battle against VOCA elements as we live in every industry. How do you become resilient and build your career proof is by having tools like LinkedIn or communities that you volunteer in, the likes of Project Management Institute or ACMP, the Association of Change Management Professional. And these volunteer-based associations allows you to be exposed to the latest and greatest. And I also want to drag the attention of your audience. Follow those big corporations, the likes of Big Four, the consultancies, the McKinseys, because they publish a lot and they publish a lot of great content like Gardner's and IDC. Do follow Gardner has hundreds of webinars for free to allow you be at the latest doorstep of what's happening around you. You're always exposed to all the disruption, the trends that are happening around you. World Economic Forum, they publish immensely in all the latest and greatest skill sets, workforce, workflows, frameworks, methodologies that you need to incorporate in your mindset as you grow. And that's why I want to emphasize the growth mindset as an important resilient tool.
It's time for questions and answers. This is a good time, so just brace yourself. Now I can see Dr. Maz is already smiling. A good question. One question for you. Can you share a little bit of some insights into your work and how you are currently working on, those pillars around burnout and project management wellness?
Right. So let me share with you perhaps some of the experiences that I had when I was part of the Strategic Transformation Office or the Executive Organizational Transformation Office in Dubai Health Authority from 2016 to 2019, and we were focused on definitely in building what we call the wellness strategy, which is now being a huge strategy that is adopted nationally in the UAE. It's called the UAE National Wellness Strategy. We discussed some of those elements on how to build in better work-life balance activities, how you actually incorporate team working or team building activities to allow more collaboration, more understanding between the team to actually delegate more, empower more. We worked with a number of initiative leaders and program leaders to actually bring in the concepts of wellness in their day-to-day workflows, right? And that enabled us to use, for example, calendar meeting invites to actually have those one-to-ones to bring in wellness awareness, talk to wellness mentors and bring in wellness coaches. Even now in my current position in the company that I work for, I've done that for almost 4 years. After COVID, we with the help of our human resources department and marketing department, we are working with a number of wellness coaches to have quarterly or monthly wellness gurus talking to us about better sleep, better nutritional behaviors, and how to manage, for example, financial burdens, and how do you manage your finances. So that's your financial wellness, looking at your nutritional wellness and physical wellness. So incorporating that awareness within our monthly on the monthly schedule would allow us to actually get more and more time off to see how we can build and maintain our wellness behaviors and practice. It all starts with awareness.
I think it was just the perfect segue just to dive into that. Keiko actually says when you mentioned about the wellness scores, it will be great to see how it's been successfully implemented into performance reviews. Interested to know how we can roll that across a wider spectrum.
Sure. So one of the practices that we studied is actually having a 1 day per month completely blocked by your corporation to actually have it given back to you. And that 1 day is actually you put some sort of a report on it in your annual appraisal. What have you done? How much family activities have you incorporated in that 1 day? And that could start with 1 day a month, for example. That's one of the practices we've seen in some other organizations we were benchmarking. Another benchmarking activity that we looked at is actually how many wellness and yoga classes have you incorporated per month as a corporation,
Oh my
right?
God,
Where
this
people
is
actually do.
interesting, eh? You mean organizations are really doing this? We need to move to Dubai, though. I think Dubai is kind of where it's happening.
And some, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying some, and they actually put your attendance as mandatory, right? So your attendance is actually gonna be incorporated into your annual appraisal. And you start with these simple activities where you get a 1 day calendar block for you to have a personal day. You call it a personal wellness day, and you do whatever activities you like per month, and you report on it in your annual appraisal. Or you actually give them wellness sessions, and you mandate the attendance, and you score them based on the attendance.
That's a very, very good one. I love that as well. I think organizations kind of do that even in North America, but maybe it's just to just give you like a day off. So you kind of decide on what you do. But I love the idea about coming back and reporting to say, how did I use that day? What, did I take some time with my family? Did I go and do a class or a yoga thing? That's definitely great because we tend to put our personal life in the back burner. We kind of feel we'll deal with it later. And as you said, it ends up biting us in the back. And so we need to focus on that. I want us to take another question. So let's look at this. We have another one. So Dr. Mazin, Raisa. Good. What examples of technologies can we leverage as project professionals in this disruptive work that can help us leverage to actually be prepared for this disruptive future?
I love that question, and I've been listening to a number of podcasts and webinars in this area. You can start with ChatGPT. The amount of information in ChatGPT can actually you can build a lot of methodologies and frameworks, and bring in tools and build some sort of methodologies out of ChatGPT that helps you in your delivery. I also use a number of note-taking tools, Fireflies and Read.ai. These are amazing tools that allow you to take notes, or it helps you to jump in and build your note-taking capability. And again, using AI, you can subscribe or use the free version, but it's amazing. I think that's another area, because as a project manager, you're holding a lot of meetings, and you're taking a lot of meeting notes, and I think that's an area where note-taking AI tools will help a lot. And definitely, I would say also in your PowerPoints, if you're presenting PowerPoints, there's a number of AI tools that help you build your PowerPoints in a very fast fashion. If you bring in the framework, or you bring in the agenda that you want to build your PowerPoints in it. So I think report designing, ChatGPT can help you in PowerPoints creation, meeting notes, and taking those meeting notes. You could actually use some of those AI, like Read AI or Fireflies and whatnot. There's a lot of them that actually could help, and I can send you a list.
Yeah, that's a good one. We're going to have it in the show notes. So just watch out for that and make sure you're following as well. That way you can be aware of everything, tools. And also I think we've mentioned a couple of articles that you can reference. So just watch out for that. we have another question. Good. Dr. Mazin, what exactly would you say has been the major barrier that you have had within your career that maybe has prevented you from moving vertically in your career faster? And what exactly have you done to change that?
Sure. So personally, I think the art of breaking complexity into simple blocks, right? That is something that I needed to learn and work with a number of mentors and coaches on. How do you take that? And obviously, it took a few years at the beginning of my career before I actually managed to understand how to solve and turn it from a challenge into an opportunity. Complexity could actually come in handling your stakeholders. For example, crucial conversations, trying to actually take listening to the customer or your clients and taking this crucial conversation, turn them from a complex problem into simple blocks where you can solve them and engage your client in it. And again, that's a skill set that I'm still improving and I'm still enhancing, but it took a while for me at the very beginning, trying to listen in, use my listening skills to try and analyze, no matter how aggravated my client or customer begins or becomes, right? How do I take and absorb the frustration and become empathetic, or display some empathy in absorbing that frustration and turn it into solution, and the client and the customer enhances their loyalty. And this is a big step in my career to learn it and improve it as I go on. And again, 23 years and I'm still learning on how to actually enhance that and take that, especially when it comes to improving client satisfaction and taking that frustration. So complexity and how you break it into simple blocks for you to tackle and solve.
You just heard that with all the degrees, with all the designation, Dr. Mazin is still learning. That is a great way to wrap up the show because continuous learning is what we need to create the leaders that we want. I want to just say thank you so much for being here, taking your evening with us. It's been a great pleasure. Good, listen, I can't even believe where the time actually went. It's been great. But I want people to know, how can they connect with you? How can they reach you as well?
Look, as I breach I breach LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. So I mean, they say I talk the talk, but I also walk the walk with LinkedIn. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I've been working with LinkedIn and the power of LinkedIn without even subscription, by the way, and it's just amazing. So I would love you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I will also, on my contacts in LinkedIn, you will see my phone number and my even Gmail address. It's open for the public. More than happy to reach out to you if you have any questions, or reach out to me if you have any thoughts that you want to share. And I publish a lot. I'm trying to publish more and more now using LinkedIn, and we can definitely connect over that.
Awesome. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. You have made my morning even more fantastic. As I say every single time, that you are your life's project manager. Make your life's project count for something. With all we've actually heard today, what is going to differentiate you from being relegated to becoming the champion of your career and your life is about action. What action are you going to be taking away? I want to see that in the comment. Let me know if you're watching this live, even in the replay. What one key action have you learned from today's conversation that you're going to be taking action on? You're going to be doing different? Is it around collaboration? Is it around leveraging technology? Is it about just embracing change? Is it about being an advocate for you being the leader that your organization actually needs to actually envision and actually see? Jeff Bezos says he wants to make a dig in the universe, but I want leaders who are going to become strata catalysts with me, ready to make a positive dent in the universe, because today, together, we can actually create multiple possibilities. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. It's been a great pleasure. I cannot even wait to continue the conversation. Once again, I want to thank Dr. Mazin all the way from the UAE, Dubai. I love Dubai so much, and we're going to be seen very soon. And for everyone who joined us from all over the world, thank you so much. And above all, happy Canada Day as well and happy Eid. Make sure you take action and do something positive with what you've actually going to today. See you same time next week on the Strategic Project Leader podcast. Bye-bye.